Because you hear about sexual abuse taking someone's innocence.
Yes.
Representative Little has talked about it. The abuse that the offender causes is absolutely criminal.
Yes.
But Representative Little also mentioned the fact that many times where it's coming from somebody out of an organization or an entity that has the ability to recruit vulnerable populations, especially kids.
Yes.
You've also highlighted another significant point of what I'm almost going to call this evolution.
That's exactly what it is, a roller coaster, because at 17 when I told, I did feel as though I was the one at fault, even to the extent that Robert Morris's wife, Debbie, called to tell me she forgave me. So still trying to mature.
Let's clarify that. The wife forgave you for being a 12-year-old who
Yes.
her husband was having sex with, right?
Correct.
How did you take that? What did that do to you?
And this is not the same thing as Matthew 5, where Jesus says, if you have something against your brother, leave your offering at the altar, go and fix everything has to be fixed with this person, and then you come and leave your offering. No, it's not like that. This is a sin. This is the defining moment for people saying, I want to be in power, yet I want to do whatever I want without consequences. Cindy Clemishire goes to lawmakers to pass law nullifying NDAs for victims of sexual abuse. In this case, you guys know her story. She was a victim of sexual abuse done by Robert Morris, ex-mega church pastor of Gateway Church. You guys know the story. We're going to go to this video where she explains what's happening, what happened to her, and how she came to this point in her life. And she's going to give us a little bit more what she actually has been saying on the news and literally in every platform she's been at. So, but before we go into this, like this video, subscribe, hit the notification button, help us to grow. Again, that subscribe button, it's important because it's going to help us to spread the gospel, spread the voice of the things that we need to do right. And I'm very passionate about this type of stuff. Why? Because I was a victim of sexual abuse. And I'm going to do everything in my power to protect my daughters, to protect my family. And also, I'm going to do what God is asking me to do, which is Micah 6:8, to do what is right, to love mercy, and walk humbly before God. So, ready for this video? I'm taking you straight to it.
The chair calls Cindy Clemishire. Cindy, I have you here registered on behalf of yourself, testifying for House Bill 740.
I'm going to make it bigger for you guys so you guys can see what's going on. And I'm going to leave it on this. I'll give my thoughts at the end so you guys can hear. It's going to be a little bit longer, but just stay with me.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Welcome back in front of our committee and to the Capitol.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you for having me back again. I don't know that any of us really need to say anything after that, but thank you for taking the time to hear my story. I've jotted down a few things and trying to stay on track with this.
Take your time.
Okay. As you already know, I am Cindy Clemishire. I'm from Oklahoma. I grew up in a small town, Hominy, in Osage County. I am a survivor of child sexual abuse that occurred I'm still emotional from that occurred between 1982 and 1987 when I was 12 to 17 years old. I was abused by Robert Morris, then a traveling evangelist who was married with one child, who went on to become the founding pastor of Gateway Church, one of the largest mega churches in America here in Texas. As I stated, the abuse started when I was 12 years old on Christmas night in 1982 while Robert Morris was staying in my family's home. The first time he made the premeditated decision to violate and defile my purity, he told me, and I quote, "You can never tell anyone because it will ruin everything." This abuse continued over and over and over until I finally told someone in 1987 at the age of 17. When I did finally tell someone, it seemed as though Robert Morris was right. It ruined everything. Friendships ended. Marriages of mutual family friends ended. My relationships with my parents, my siblings, friends, and others took a shift. And at 17 years old in 1987, I felt like as if it was all my fault. As I began the lifelong journey to sort through these emotional challenges, my life seemed to attract more shame, while Robert's attracted fame. Through decades of counseling off and on, seminars, books, and conversations with friends and family, I have found my way to understanding child sexual abuse, forgiveness, and healing. Part of that journey also involved a pursuit of financial restitution from Robert in 2007 at the age of 37, 20 years after I first told someone. My attorney at the time, Gittner Drummond, who is now the AG of Oklahoma, asked for $50,000 to cover past and future counseling. Robert Morris's attorney responded with a letter accusing an innocent 12-year-old Cindy of pursuing Robert, making Robert sound like the victim. The letter also offered a $25,000 settlement as long as I would sign an NDA, which I refused. That was 18 years ago. Because I refused to sign that document giving up the right to freely speak about events in my life, last Wednesday, March 12th of 2025, almost 43 years after my abuse began, Robert Morris was indicted in Oklahoma on 5 counts of lewd acts with a child, which each carry 20 years in prison.
Sorry, guys. Let me speed it up so you guys can, we all can actually have the same, because it's going to be a little bit longer. Like you guys can see, we're almost halfway in. So just have patience, and let's go back to the video.
In prison. And he turned himself in to authorities just 2 days ago in Osage County in Oklahoma. Because I refused to sign an NDA, my abuser is finally being held accountable for the horrific crimes he committed against me as a child. Because I refused to sign the NDA at the age of 37, I am able to sit here at the age of 55 and share my story and be the voice for so many people who don't have the courage to come forward in hopes that I can help them.
Ms. Clemishire, I had a chance to see you come speak at a SNAP conference almost a year ago now.
August of last year.
For those that didn't get to see it, you had this incredible visual of a piece of luggage, and it caught me in the way that you drug that luggage across the stage. And with that visual, can you tell the people that are listening to you today what you meant by carrying that luggage?
Yes, as I talked about just a few minutes ago, the shame that my life continued to attract, that was what I decided to use to show people. Like when I left home at 18 to go to college, I carried with me shame that I really couldn't even begin to understand. And as I journeyed through life, I just continued to fill that luggage, that suitcase with shame. You know, whether it was divorce, pregnancy out of wedlock. I often call myself one of the lucky ones because it wasn't a family member, it wasn't my father, and I didn't become addicted to drugs. You know, I had my other share of trouble and choices that I recently heard someone say many times, we know what someone's character is, but their choices aren't aligning with that, and it's very confusing. And that was validated when my story went public last summer, when my high school English teacher and speech teacher, who I'm still friends with today, she called me and she said, I always wondered what had happened to you because your life took a path that none of us anticipated and didn't look like who we knew you to be and how you were raised. And that is what that luggage represented, was all the choices that didn't align with my character and who I am. Just more and more shame added to what was started when I was 12 years old.
And you're in a unique position because you hear about sexual abuse taking someone's innocence.
Yes.
Representative Little has talked about it. The abuse that the offender causes is absolutely criminal.
Yes.
But Representative Little also mentioned the fact that many times where it's coming from somebody out of an organization or an entity that has the ability to recruit vulnerable populations, especially kids.
Yes.
That entity and that organization needs to take those perpetrators equally seriously, whether manner in which they come in contact with them. You've also highlighted another significant point what I'm almost going to call this evolution. You talked about you disclosed facts at the age of 17. You again, at the age of 37, found some strength again to try to get into the court system, and now here you are in your early 50s. Can you explain to us, as a policy-making legislative body, about that roller coaster of evolution for victims and when they have the strength or ability to maybe come forward or not?
Yes. I think that's exactly what it is, a roller coaster, because at 17, when I told, I did feel as though I was the one at fault, even to the extent that Robert Morris's wife, Debbie, called to tell me she forgave me. So still trying to
Just
mature.
let's clarify that. The wife forgave you for being a 12-year-old who
Yes.
her husband was having sex with, right?
Correct.
How did you take that? What did that do to you?
Well, at 17 and then being family friends, I was thankful because I felt like I had done something wrong. And I had been treated, though, as though I had done something wrong by Robert, like making me the guilty one or a part of something that I chose when I knew nothing. I mean, 82 was a very different time when we didn't carry computers around in our hands and we had 6 channels maybe on our televisions. So innocence was very different than it is now most of the time. But that journey from 17 to 37, it wasn't until, even with years of counseling, that I could accept the term abuse. I was 35, the first time I truly accepted and believed that he abused me, that it was criminal, and I understood what grooming was, and that changed the course of my journey to more healing, and there's anger, of course, involved in that. But I was having children. You know, I have 3 sons. They currently range from 17 to 32, and I also am a grandmother of 3. And I think that for a woman, I can only speak for myself and being a woman, but that journey involves protecting your children and how you do that and how much, feeling more shame if you talk about it publicly. We did privately go to people throughout the last however many decades, 3.5 decades, sharing with people in the pulpit in churches across the country about what he did to me and my family, in hopes that they would take him out of the pulpit, because we knew legally there was really nothing we could do with that,
And this is something that the church has to address. And how do I say this? How do I say this stuff? You guys know I've said it multiple times in videos about this type of stuff in this topics. 1 Timothy 3 is very explicit. You cannot minister, you cannot actually teach, you cannot be on the pulpit if your reputation is over the floor or under the floor. And this is not okay. This is something that you as a Christian have to question, have to ask yourself and say, do I listen to this guy? And maybe, like I said, again, even Jesus said it in Matthew, I think it was Matthew 14, even the Pharisees actually said the good things they got is teaching us, but they did the opposite. That's the problem. So Jesus actually is teaching us also that these are false prophets. The things that they teach us, it's good. They teach things also that are against God, and they don't align with the Bible, and they don't align with the Word of God. So you have to make a decision. Sometimes we really love these people. The problem with that is they have done harm to the body of Christ, and they've done things that they try to escape the consequences of their actions. I in my life personally, I didn't do this. I forgive him. I faced him a couple of times during my teenage years. I'm sorry, and I never told my parents until I was almost 18 years old, and unfortunately, they were not in the ministry. They disappeared. I don't know what happened. They're still alive, but they just literally, nobody could actually contact them and stuff like that. I think they got cut. They got cut somehow. I forgive him. At the same time, it's like, if this is something that is not gonna help us out to bring order to the ministry, bring order to what God is calling us to do, because God is a God of order, not a disorder, not a God of confusion. So Cindy is doing the right thing, friends and family. Cindy is doing the right thing. And I'm just going to finish with this last part of it. I think they're going to ask him some more questions and
the time of it. So it takes a lifetime, as Elizabeth said, to process and heal, but just to have the courage to come forward and speak openly to the world, I never would have been ready until now.
The chair recognizes Elizabeth Phillips. I have you here testifying on behalf of yourself for House Bill 748. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, go ahead.
As you said, I'm Elizabeth Phillips. I'm from Dallas, Texas, District 108, where I grew up and where I still live today. Thank you to this committee, and a special thank you to Chairman Leach for authoring this bill to prohibit the misuse of NDAs against child sexual abuse and trafficking victims, and for naming it after my late brother, Trey. It honors him and my family, our loss, and the countless survivors of child sexual abuse like him who didn't survive. I'm going to read my testimony because this has been a long time coming. I've been working towards this day for 5 years, and I want to get through my testimony in the allotted time.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Time limit doesn't apply to this bill.
Thank you.
Take your time.
Trey was my little brother who was silenced to his grave by Kanakuk Ministries, a summer camp and global enterprise based in southwest Missouri. Trey endured a decade of grooming and child sexual abuse by their popular director, Pete Newman, followed by a re-traumatizing civil litigation process that ended with a restrictive NDA. Sadly, a lot of truth dies with people because of NDAs, and that only protects bad actors, which is contrary to public interest. To me, that is the point of Trey's law and this hearing today: public safety, protecting children. I've actually learned more about the extent of my brother's abuse in his death than I knew in his life due to the NDA he was under. Trey told a therapist, "They will always control me and I'll never be free," before he died by suicide in August 2019.
oh wow.
He hesitated even to tell his story in confidential therapeutic settings for fear that Kanakuk would come after him again like they did an earlier John Doe. Now that I know what I know and have caught my breath, I'm trying to be a voice for Trey and the countless other victims of childhood crimes who are suffering in the shadows due to NDAs that restrict them from speaking in settings like this.
That's a problem. That's a problem. NDAs are no joke. Just for protecting the perpetrator. Protecting a ministry. Protecting an image. Protecting the livelihood of these people where they knew and they know what they've done. That's why they do the NDAs. That's why they do the NDAs. So, this is actually the case with Cindy Clemishire. She just stepped into this role of advocating for the victims, advocating for a law to pass and nullifying the NDAs for perpetrators and protecting the victims instead of shutting them down, which is horrible. Anyway, so you guys know the Bible. You guys know 1 Timothy 3. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. I'm not going to tell you, we're not going to go back again. And this is not the same thing as Matthew 5, where Jesus says, if you have something against your brother, leave your offering at the altar. Go and fix. Everything has to be fixed with this person. And then you come and leave your offering. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. This is more than that. This is actually something. I was actually talking to my wife about this type of stuff. This is something very particular and very different for what God and what Jesus actually is asking. You know, like having an offense with someone. This is a sin. This is the defiling moment for people saying, "I want to be in power, yet I want to do whatever I want without consequences." That's not okay. Anyway, we're not gonna go deep into this. Like this video, subscribe, hit the notification button. If you have any comments, please put your comments down below. If you need prayer, put your comments down below. If you need prayer, like I said, I'm started building a group, a team of people who can actually serve you, who can actually help you in that sense. So help us out by subscribing, liking this video. Go to our Patreon. I'm going to put more videos over there. And yeah, God bless you. God bless you. If you've been a victim of SA in your life, just like me and my brother, you have a story, you have a testimony, and I can tell you this: God is glorified in our testimony, and He is at the end the one who's gonna judge everybody. And my only job, let me just tell you this: our only job is to forgive. God will take care of the rest. God bless you. We'll see you next time.